What's going on, people? Got these Jordan 11s today from Foot Locker. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell from that bag. I mean, that's the Foot Locker guy, right? So let's go ahead and see what's going on in here. I saw them briefly at the store when like the woman just opened the box to make sure they were the right size, but I didn't really look at them after that because I was on my way home and I was just more concerned about. Well, actually, I stopped to get some of those waffle fries from Chick-fil-A, and I was doing that for a while, and then nothing else mattered, I guess. And then now here I am. But either way, so there's that, right? Side of the box, real quick. That is not helpful to anybody. So, anyways, this release, right? Did the whole online raffle thing. You've probably seen that before a time or two. Yeah, last month I did, or was it earlier this month? I did it recently with the Jordan 12s, and man, that thing was just a mess. If you saw the review that I did, there's a story somewhere in the middle of it. Yeah, there's a whole just terrible ordeal, right? This time things played out better, like significantly. Had a Also had a run that I did before that, so that was kind of took me in the opposite direction, which kind of sucked, because I won this raffle, right? And like they didn't tell me up front where the raffle was. I had to click on like confirm to be able to say like, yeah, I want to say like where it was going to be. So I say, yeah, I want these, and then they're like, okay, it's at this store, and I'm like, okay. And that was Champs, right? Because I've been waitlisted from Foot Locker, and then I go to the Foot Locker thing like later because they're like, hey, well, you got off the wait list probably because somebody couldn't get to their thing in time to confirm it, I assume, right? But anyway, so they're like, yeah, you want these, and I'm like, let's see, where's this one gonna be? So I click on it, same store, same mall, right? So I'm like, because I was kind of hoping that one of them would be like closer to where the run was this morning, so that way I didn't have to make this like crazy extra trip. It was not, so that kind of was not great. But I'll get more into that whole run thing in a little bit because I got some Pegasus premiums just off camera. Can you see those? You can't see those, so I can talk about how those are not good running shoes and all that stuff, right? Spoiler alert, I suppose. But yeah, everything's looking good here for the most part. Got a little extra beef piece hanging off the side of there. See that? But that's just some extra threads. Not a big deal. Because normally it wouldn't even matter, right? But this time around, since I won two raffles, if something was wrong with these, normally I can't just like take them back, get a new pair or whatever. I'd be able to just go to the other store, get that pair, assume that they are better, check them out, and then take this one back to Foot Locker and be like, I don't want this, right? Either way, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Again, this right here, Jordan 11 bred colorway. A lot of people know that. It's also a low, right? But also a lot of people know that too. Down there across the bottom, let's bring that in real close, right? So there you go. Got a little bit of that carbon fiber and whatnot, right? And you can kind of see through here, which is a thing that I think is pretty cool. I've been buying a few carbon plated running shoes. It's actually super helpful on those. On these, I don't know. It's just I don't play basketball, and if I did, I wouldn't play it in these. So I feel like it's kind of unnecessary at this point. But back in '95 when these came out, where '95 to '96, maybe that was like the thing back then. I don't know. Anyways, as far as the upper goes, right? The patent leather stuff going on around here, right? Then you get on up here, and it does have the mesh, which I'm a huge fan of. I know a lot of people like the leather because it's more premium, it looks better, and like it's easy to clean stuff off. I'm like, I'm not nasty, so I'm not worried about cleaning shoes all the time, right? And also, mesh is more breathable, and that's the thing that I'm into, right? So I'm a mesh guy, and this being that ballistic mesh works out for me, and I'm the one who spent money to put these shoes on his feet. So there's that. Down in there, right? What does that say? Like Jordan, maybe? I don't know. Looks like it. I don't know. Every time I look at that, it looks like some sort of like alien written language or something. I don't know what's going on in there. Don't really care a whole lot either. On the back end, you got a little Jumpman guy, got a little 23 action on the very top. There's the focus. Just gotta trust the process sometimes, even though the process doesn't always work. And on the inside, it's both the same they are. So you got a little Nike Air happening right there, right? So otherwise, I don't really know what else to say about these because the thing is, I'm not a Jordan guy like that, right? I didn't care what the dude was doing back in the olden days. I care less what he's doing now. He makes some all right shoes, or at least he did have some all right shoes made in his name forever ago. And I buy the ones that look pretty all right. Now, for me, right? I get the lows compared to like is the standard 11, is it a mid or a high? I'm not really sure, honestly. Somebody told me once, and I did not commit it to memory because I guess I just didn't really care a whole lot. But either way, I prefer the lows personally because I like low top shoes. That's what I wear the most of. High top shoes just feel a little weird on me. When I see them, they just look out of place, or I look out of place in them. So I'm a big fan of lows, right? So when this came around, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to get those, right? I do have the other pair that came out a couple Novembers ago, right? Sure, like that was that 2019. Yeah, I have those somewhere, right? I haven't worn them yet, but I'll probably pull those out next week. But yeah, if I if these had come out first, I probably still would have got the other pair. It's not like I dislike them to that extent. It's just if I had to choose, which I didn't, I would only choose to get these. That's just a personal thing, but hey, it is what it is, right? So, anyways, past that, I'm gonna put these things on real quick, make sure they fit okay. Because I pick up 11s like regularly, kind of, right? Like once a year, right? Like there's like a holiday release, and I'll pick that pair up. What was the last one? The Gratitudes? No, that sounds too far back. I don't know what the last Jordan 11 was that I picked up. Maybe the Cherry, was that the most recent one? Actually, you know what? That feels like that was a long time ago too. Either way, I've picked up 11s. I just don't wear them regularly until like 2 or 3 months ago, something like that. The last time I had worn a pair of 11s was like 2018, and that was, let's see, that would have been that bluish pair, Win Like 82. I'm a big fan of the Win Like 82s, which is weird because normally I don't really care a whole lot for white shoes, but those ones, something about them was just working for me. I mean, I'm also from 82, so I had a little personal bias, I guess. So these right here, right, got these slipped on here on this other foot, went true to size on them. Yeah, they do feel a little big, right? I was thinking that in my mind because like lots of times I feel like Jordan shoes would feel a little big. But again, I hadn't worn one of these in forever, and it could just be this one, right? Even like with 12s, I can get two pairs of 12s in the same size, and they feel a little different, right? So it could just be this one. I don't know. But yeah, it feels like there's a little extra room in there by my own personal standards. I don't think it's like too much to the point where I'd want to go down a half necessarily, but I think I could get away with it. I'm also wearing some thicker socks right now, so there is that. If I had on my running socks like I had on earlier, I'd probably feel even worse in these. They also feel a little stiff, but I mean, I'm not walking around in them. I just took these out of the box seconds ago. You probably saw that, right? So I'm not going to really speak on that, but it's also not known for like just being some sort of plush comfort like I've been wearing for the last several days. So that's another piece of it. All in all, I'll say this, like I remember walking around in some 11s a while ago, like a month or two ago. Like I said, they don't feel bad, but they don't feel great. And that's just, again, me being so used to what I generally wear. When I put something like this on, it's a noticeable difference, right? If you are one of those people who wears a lot of Jordan type shoes, basketball type shoes, maybe this is like right across the board with what you expect from the footwear that you have. I don't know. I can only speak on it from my perspective, which is not the most useful when I do reviews on these things, to be completely honest, and I'm aware of that. But anyway, so there you go. Take that, do whatever you want to with it. The true to size thing, it's probably going to work out fine for the most people. I'll give you that if you don't want to think too much about it. Yeah, go true to size. You'll probably be all right. So there's that. Take these things off, see what people are saying in here. Truth speaker. Okay, he's not even speaking. He's like writing, so that's weird. Let's see. Yes, sir, you got to trust the process. And then someone says word up. Okay. And then then truth speaker says right. Well, I don't know what you're saying right in reference to, but if I said it, then of course it was right. I like to think of myself as also a truth speaker or a fact speaker, however you want to look at it. So let's move on. Let's talk about these things for a second here. This right here, in case anybody is curious, it's one of those newer offerings from Nike, right? It's got the Pegasus Premium right here. It's kind of a running shoe. I mean, the Pegasus is a running shoe brand, sure. Like if you just buy straight Pegasus 41 or straight Pegasus Trail, it's a running shoe. The Pegasus, what's that? Pegasus Plus, also a running shoe. So this, it is a running shoe in that way. However, technology that they put into this, like, while cool and on its own makes for good running things, together, not so much, right? Because, like, here's the thing, right? So see that? You got Zoom X at the top, you got the Air midsole in the middle, and then you got the Nike React X at the bottom, right? All three of those things can do okay on their own, right? I mean, I should have brought it over here. The Vomero 18 has both of these going on minus the Air, and it does wonderful things. The Zoom X on its own, the Nike React X on its own, no problems there either, right? At least going by what I've experienced over the years. But something about combining these, and I'm blaming it on that Air unit, I really am, makes them feel a little bit weird. Even just like walking around in them, they can feel a little unstable. And I've always felt like that with like air bubble shoes, right? Even like if I'm just going to go to the gym and I'm going to stand and do like certain workouts, because that's a thing that happens from time to time, right? Go to Shredder's Gym up in New York if you're ever in the area. Yeah, so like I'll do whatever standing workouts and stuff. But if I know I'm doing that going into it, I'll wear shoes that have a little bit more stability under the foot, right? So you got like your Kayano 31s, right? The Ultra Boost 19. That is still one of my favorite shoes, and it's super old, right? The Ultra Boost 19. There's other things as well, but I'll kind of stray away from like the Vapor Max or something like that, or like the earlier Ultra Boost, or what's that thing, the Nova Blast, right? Something where it's all kind of like it's a little unstable under your foot. And this kind of just gives you that feeling all the time, right? And they're also heavy, which is another thing. Now, weight wise, it's 11 ounces, 11 point something. My Kayanos, I like running in those. Same with the Nimbus, though not to that extent. They're like an ounce lighter, right? So 10 compared to 11. Not a huge difference, but it starts to be noticeable if you're running and you're used to like, what is it, like these right here. I think these are a high 7 ounce, like 7.8 or 9, something like that, the Evo SL, right? Get used to stuff like that. So when I'm running in these, like I ran today, as soon as I started going, I was like, man, I need this to be over. Like, I am not into this, right? It's not like it's bad, but it's just that everything else I have feels better, right? And again, I'm talking about a running perspective here. Like, you can walk around and be comfortable in mostly anything. That kind of doesn't matter, right? Though there's also a lot of cheaper things to walk around in if you just want to be comfortable. I mean, why spend 190? You know what I'm saying? But these right here, like, I ended up doing well enough for myself. But that's the other thing of that. Like, one quick like tangent here. When people are looking at running shoes and they think like, oh, I got to get this because this is like the speed shoe and blah blah blah. If you put in like the right amount of effort on any decent shoe, like, you're probably going to do okay, right? I ran these today by like 5 seconds or something. I got my new best time. Well, according to Strava, I got my new best time. According to Garmin, my best time was last week with a 6:30 pace. Ended up being about like 20 minutes and 13 seconds. Today was about 21 something, right? So either way, I ran with these. I got a pretty good pace going and was able to hold it and stuff. So you can do it and whatever, just got to put in the effort. But at the end of the day, if you want things to go as smooth as possible and not be focused on like necessarily having to go all in to make something work, get something better, right? These are 190. So 190, let's see, the Silver Blast 2 is $200. The Glycerin Max is $200, right? I would take either of those over these. The choice that I would make between those two is based on what you are doing, right? So the Glycerin Max, really good if you're not trying to be too fast, but a decent speed, but like comfort is like going to be king with those. The Super Blast 2 is kind of like an all around. I've done pretty quick in those. I came in first for my age group in the Norfolk Harbor half. Well, excuse me, the 10K during the half weekend. So you can definitely get some good times in those and like feel good doing it, right? Because they're made for that. But then you look at something like this. I mean, I just ran the Vomero 18s last month for, what was that, a half marathon and an 8K. So much better than these, right? And you could spend $40 less if you're like a Nike person. You could spend $40 less and get those instead, right? So that's an option. I mean, these right here also $40 less and way better, right? So it is what it is, right? Like a lot of people are buying these because like they look cool and it's like the new fancy thing. So there's that, right? But if you're looking to get these because you're about to start running and you heard that this is like one of the newer running shoes, it is one of the newer running shoes, but just because it's new doesn't make it good. And just because it's expensive also doesn't make it good. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And this time around, it doesn't, which is unfortunate. I like the way these look. They got a lot of good things going on with the visual. Like I've got zero complaints there. The extra little 3M bits without overdoing it, you know. Some of the like little subtle details when you like look into the air bubble, even though I'm not a fan of it existing here. I like the way it looks, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff happening, you know. You got the air zoom written down under the bottom. Lots of cool stuff going on. It's just, again, if you're buying these for performance, expect to, take advantage of somebody's return policy. So that's enough out of me for that, I assume. Are there any questions? If I say is there, that's going to be grammatically correct. So what's going to happen now? I've said everything I need to say about the 11s, about the Pegasus premiums. I'll be saying it all over again, I don't know, maybe Monday or Tuesday, in an actual review that you will then see probably towards the end of the week, because I don't know that I'm going to be doing much of anything tomorrow. So if you have any questions that you want to throw my way, whether they're related to this or something else, you got like about a minute or two to like get those all typed out, and then I will respond to them in the order in which I see them, right? Which should be the order in which you say them, but sometimes StreamYard can be a little bit weird sometimes, But either way, otherwise, I'm going to start closing this thing out, right? So I can move on, and like I'm going to take a shower because I literally like just came home from picking these up and before that doing the run thing, right? So that's high on my list of things to do right now. And given that I don't see anything in here, that is fantastic. So from me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Like I said, I'll hopefully get some actual reviews out to you soon. I do have some of that B-tier footage recording reviews that I do every now and then, like like little crate unboxings and stuff. I got two of those coming up, so that'll happen. That'll kind of fill in the void of this channel not getting too stagnant. But there won't be any actual like shoe stuff probably until the end of the week, in case you were curious. So there's that. Have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Later, people.